there, welcome to the garden. Why, you may ask, are all of my plants behind me right here under the patio? So I just made a video about my watering schedule and how I water all the containers and how I've been watering so much because it's been so dry. Well, I am out here watering all the containers right here because we actually decided to do an impromptu little trip. And I do have someone coming out and checking on the containers and checking on the house and everything. But they're probably not going to be out here every day. And with the heat on this patio, the containers get pretty dry. So since they're not going to be watered every day while I'm gone, and kind of to make things easier, I decided I'm going to put them all over here in the shade. This is under our little upstairs patio. So they're all under here. They're all in the shade. They're easy to water all together. It's a little bit easier to make sure that everybody gets some water. And because they're in the shade, hopefully they won't have as much, as much stress from the heat, and they won't lose the water quite as fast. Now a lot of these are sun plants, so I wouldn't want to leave them in the shade for a long period of time, but we're just going to be gone for a weekend. I think it's going to be a total of there'll be like 2 days that they'll be without water, 2 days each. So they should be fine 2 days if they're in the shade. That is the hope anyway. So I'm just trying to get them as much water as I possibly can because we leave super early in the morning. But I just kind of grouped them all together. So I just grouped them all together back here under the patio, and they'll be able to, basically to just hang out while we're gone. Hopefully we get some rain, but it hasn't been raining too much, so I just figured all of them here. And then I even put the chairs up in front to just add some more shade so that they're not getting the total beating sun, because it gets so hot out here. I do have this one pot, this guy here, this is my Heliopsis, that tends to dry out really quickly. So some of my pots do better than others. This guy really dries out. What I'm actually going to do with that one is put it in a bucket of water. I did that with my hanging baskets upstairs because they're the cocoa fiber hanging baskets. They get so dry so quickly. So I actually just put like tubs of water and just set them in there. And since we're only gone for the weekend, so it's not like they're going to be in there for a long enough time to damage the cocoa fiber or anything, but at least they will have a good chunk of water while we're gone. So I'm going to do that for the Heliopsis because it dries out super quickly, and then hopefully all the other containers will be okay being in the shade. So here we go. I have this galvanized container, and I'm just going to put the Heliopsis in here, and then it'll have some water to sit in. I wouldn't want to keep this plant in water like this all the time. This plant doesn't like to have wet roots, but again, as kind of like a temporary solution, temporary situation, I'm thinking it'll be fine. I don't think for a couple days it'll be too much of a problem. If I ever redid my container garden, I would 100% put all of my containers on drip or get some of those self-watering containers. I think that would be really probably a good idea. But since obviously I'm not going to do this, I can't set it all up on drip, or I'm not going to set it all up on drip tonight. We're just going to make the best of it. And I will actually come back and check in with you when we are back from our trip, and we can see how all the pots did. Hey there! So I am back from vacation and so happy to say that all the plants did well. I think I lost one plant in a hanging basket, but other than that, everything did great while we were out of town. And actually, you might be able to see in the background, a bunch more things started blooming while we were gone. This time of year, it is incredible. Just being gone for a 4-day weekend, so many changes happened in the garden, so I wanted to update you on some of those. I did come out last night and get the garden kind of put back together, so it's looking good. Of course, all the plants are getting bigger, so everything is feeling a bit more full. So I feel like I may have to do some readjustments to some of the container locations, over the next few weeks and such, as plants continue to grow, size continues to change. But everything is looking great. Putting things in the shade really helped. And actually, interestingly, one of my hanging Well, not hanging, it's a hay rack. My hay rack is actually doing better after I had it in some shade. So I'm kind of trying to evaluate what happened there, but let me just show you some of the gorgeous blooms that are going on out here. There's so much happening. Okay, so we have to start in this bed. The millet has put on its seed pods. I did try to get more than just the 2 stalks going, and I didn't really give it enough space. I don't know, a few issues getting it started, but I will definitely be growing more millet in the future because this is absolutely gorgeous. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a rainy day, which of course we didn't get any rain while I was gone, and I would have wanted rain, but now we have a bit of a rainy day. It looks like one of my snapdragons, these are apple blossom snapdragons, got broken off. So I may have to go ahead and just cut that and bring that in. But this bed is just looking so full. I actually harvested my first cucumber out of here. And let me see if there's any more. It was a nice sized cucumber. I don't think there's any more in here. I need to get in and do a little bit of grooming, you know, take out some of these kind of decaying leaves and clean things up. But I got my first cucumber from the salad bush cucumber. Absolutely amazing plant. I will always grow salad bush cucumbers. That's one of my like go-to varieties. Such a good compact plant and just a good producer. They just produce and produce and produce and produce so many cucumbers throughout the season. I grew them in a little bit of part shade last year. They did great. Even where they are right now is not really full sun. They did fabulously, so I love them. I threw in a salad more cucumber as well, and I kind of wish I didn't because that one is really rambling and kind of getting crazy, and the salad bush is so compact that you can actually keep it. Like, these are 2x4 raised beds. The salad bush cucumber would do perfect in those raised beds. It really fits that size. The salad more now is really kind of climbing out of the bed, so I regret putting that seed in, but salad bush is great and got it first, as I said, first cucumber. And then the squash in this bed is also putting on tons of flowers, and there's a lot of fruit. So you can see in here, there's tons of female buds. There's a lot of fruit setting in there, so we should be getting hopefully some squash. Oh look, there's our first. This is Sunburst Patty Pan, another one of my favorite go-to amazing hybrid crops. And look, our first Patty Pan squash. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad this bed is doing well. See, this is the salad more cucumber that's like spilling out. It's got a really long stem, but you can see the salad bush is just so compact underneath it. So who knows? We'll see how this goes. I gotta come out and do some more maintenance and pruning and trimming and kind of containing, because everything just burst forth growing. The zinnias, the peppers, like all of a sudden, I don't know what happened in the last couple of days. They just took off and started growing everywhere. But here's the real exciting thing over in this bed. The Indian summer rudbeckia started blooming. Look at that next to the green twister echinacea. Isn't that pretty? This bed is about to be full of echinacea blooms and rudbeckia blooms. It's gonna be so beautiful. I'm letting the foxglove hang out, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to harvest some seeds once those dry out a little bit. But yeah, this is looking so good. I do have some finches, I think, that are eating some of my echinacea blossoms. The goldfinches go after my echinaceas, and they go after my zinnias. I don't know, it's just one of those things. Usually they don't get everything, and so it's enough that I can still enjoy a lot of really pretty blooms, and it's not that big a deal. But if you see damage or like ripped out petals and stuff, that's often, in my garden at least, what is causing the problem. It's goldfinches coming in and trying to eat those. In general though, the garden is just looking so good. I did move the heliopsis out away from the house today so it could get some rain, because it doesn't really get rain next to the house. And it, I just wanted to make sure it got some water, but this is putting on so many gorgeous blossoms. I love heliopsis. I can't wait. One day, hopefully I'll have big in-ground gardening space, and I'll be able to really, mix some of these in a big in-ground setting. But for right now, they're in containers and looking good. My other container over here with the incredible sunflowers is also looking really beautiful. Look at this. Just stunning. And then over here is the hay rack, and as you can see, it kind of perked back up. So I don't really know. I may have to reevaluate that situation. What I may end up doing is just taking some of the plants out of the hay rack and maybe refilling the hanging basket that lost some plants, something, because yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason, it hasn't been thriving up on the fence, but when I brought it down and had it just kind of in a little bit more shade, I don't even know if it was getting any more water, honestly, because it was pretty dry while I was gone. But anyways, it looks so much better now. The plants look like they're kind of recovering, so maybe it just needed more water, or it was just, yeah, drying out too much. So I may reevaluate this whole situation, and I may end up just moving the plants along. The only thing that kind of took a little bit of a hard time here are the nasturtiums. They're sort of flopping over, and I think maybe they're reaching for the sun. They've really trailed. Look how high they are going up into this lemony lace elderberry. Like, they're really climbing up. So maybe it's a sun issue. They're kind of flattened out. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do to remedy that. I may just move, kind of like try to pull them back and redistribute them. They don't last into the full heat. Once we get into the real true heat of the summer, they are not going to really be able to handle it. So that may be a bit of what the situation is. So we'll just keep an eye on them. And then there's some things like penstemon that I need to trim back over here. The penstemon has stopped flowering, but my green echinacea over here, I think this was like a green envy or something like that. My green echinacea is starting to bloom. And then I do have some more rudbeckias about to bloom. This is just gonna all fill up. Now, the only sad thing that happened was my container plant in the container pond got knocked over again. So something is getting into this container pond and trying, I think, maybe to jump onto the container to drink out of. I know the squirrels drink out of this pond, so it may just be them getting in. But anyways, they knocked over the pot. So I'm gonna have to do another clean out kind of situation with that. And I may just not keep any more of these containers. Like, I may just forget the bog plants in the pond and just go ahead and go forward with just the hornwort and with the lily pads, and hopefully that'll be enough to really filter out the water. I do change out the water. It's become every month because something gets knocked over, so maybe I just need to keep that going so the fish stay happy. We're gonna keep playing around with it, but I'm gonna have to clean out the whole pond again, and I don't want to have to keep doing that whenever the bog plant gets knocked over, because my squirrels or my chipmunks or whatever's out here is just knocking that over. So I don't want to have to do that. So, you know, constant little adjustments that we make out here in the garden. It's just part of it. So the last thing that I wanted to show you out here that's really exciting are my pineapple ground cherries. These again have just taken off. We've got a lot of ground cherries starting, and the first cucamelons are actually starting to show up too. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus on these little cucamelons. They're getting going. So I feel like, yeah, everything is just growing really beautifully. I tried to get all the containers back to where they were, and I don't know if I did it or not. I feel like they're all in the same locations, but the feel is different. So maybe it's just that everything got bigger. It could really be that. This time of year, everything starts to get really big and full. As you can see, this area is getting crowded. So I'm gonna have to come out in the next few days and start doing some real work to organize and tame and prune, and then maybe reorder the container. Once we get to early August, I actually start having to switch out things for the fall plants. The garden kind of takes a big change in August, so it's really just basically another 6 weeks that we've got the garden like this, and I just need to somehow get it to a manageable place where everything has room to grow and things aren't interfering with each other. So we'll see how that goes. Mostly it's this corner over here that I need to prune and trim, and I think part of that is going to be figuring out a little bit of a trellis for those salad more cucumbers, because I for some reason I thought they were a bush cucumber, but now I'm thinking that maybe I made that up in my head and they are not a bush cucumber. They certainly are not doing as well as the salad bush cucumber. I mean, I'm almost tempted to pull them out because I know the salad bush cucumber is going to do so well and it's going to produce so many cucumbers that I hardly even really need salad more cucumber, and it's just a problem. I named this the Reckless Garden because I do a lot of spontaneous seed setting, and I end up planting a lot of things just on a whim in different spots in the garden. And the only issue with that is that I sometimes end up with just not the best layout and the best plan. I've done better this year than I ever had. Gardening is really, it is a learning curve. It's a process, and every year I feel like it gets a lot better. The first year I grew in this garden, it was absolutely huge and chaotic. It was wild and kind of wonderful and beautiful in its own way, but it was also totally crazy. I still every so often make those planting mistakes, and I make those errors, and so that's just part of it. And I will always, I think, be someone who likes to try new things and experiment and push the limits as far as spacing and everything goes. So with that, it just means that I sometimes end up with super full spaces or some crowding, and so I'm just gonna have to take after that area and get in there, get my leggings on or something so I don't get too bit up by bugs, and just take care of it. So that's on the plan. But all in all, I'm super thrilled that everything made it through. I'm so grateful for my friend who came out and watered for me. It's always nerve-wracking to leave the garden, and it's such a hard thing for us gardeners because summer vacation is right in the middle of like the best garden time. So it's always hard to leave the garden this year, and it's just, sometimes you end up missing some really beautiful things. It can be difficult, but of course you want to still get away and visit family and take trips and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, it's just a balance, but at least everything made it. I feel like so many new things are blooming. The garden still looks great, and we're just going to get into now managing the summer garden, because that is going to be a task as always. So anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.